Now, who was called up first to TV? I think Brie, right?
Well, we were actually both called up.
Okay. But the Brie Bella name got to debut first. So
What people don't know is, because, that first night when Brie debuted, I got the win, because, we did Under the Ring, the switch. Well,
Twin
I
Magic.
have so much makeup on because I actually have a broken nose at the time, and I had the deepest black eyes.
It was crazy.
And we had to do so much makeup, and I had broken my nose twice in 2 weeks.
Well, and it was crazy, too, because we got the phone call, and they're like, hey, we want you guys to come up. No guarantees, but we want you to come up. And Nicole and I looked at each other, and she's like, my nose is broken. I'm like, you can't
And I was
say
so
anything.
swollen, so I was like icing, and I was just getting so bruised.
Because we were like, of course, like,
I'm gonna blow it. I was just so bummed,
Yeah.
and then it ended up working out perfect. And
That was a
everyone was
crazy
laughing
night.
because then I got the win. I was like going up the ramp, and then I did like some dance, and like everyone's like, "Oh, she's dancing."
yeah.
I was like, I'm just really excited.
well, and the difference for us is like usually when you debut, you might do a promo or a vignette, or there might be a something, and they're just like, and we were in Pittsburgh, so that crowd, and
Oh, man.
they're like, you
Felt
guys
bad
will
for Brie. I'm like, thank
they're
God
like,
you're
you're gonna be
walking
on
out.
before main event. And thank goodness it was with Victoria. Like, I could not have asked for a better person to debut with. Like, Lisa took such great care of Nicole and I. Like, she made me feel so comfortable. Yeah. And, I mean, her work in the ring's just tremendous. And she just took me to a different level.
Oh.
And she just honestly, like, she took care of me that night.
Yeah.
And, but I remember walking out, and the crowd's like, who in the hell is that? And I was
Who's
like,
this little
I know.
skinny brunette?
From Scottsdale, Arizona. But
little did they know I was underneath the ring, which was cool. And
Yeah.
even though I was like so nervous, I couldn't even.
yeah, but they're like, yep, you're wrestling. Actually, it was Freddie Prinze Jr. who told us, you're wrestling tonight. When we got showed up to the building, I was like,
Yeah. Oh, we're debuting
and I
as
think
wrestlers.
from
This is
that
awesome.
day, from that moment till the end of the night, everything was very foggy. I was just like shaking inside, but like not trying to sell it. I was like, oh my gosh.
How did you get under the ring?
So they used to put me in massive black sweatpants, massive black zip up. So I'd like pull it all the way over and tie the things down so I'd like barely see. And then sometimes when they play the promo videos, and they have to turn the lights down.
The crew goes out.
The
to
crew
check
goes
on
out to
things.
check on the ring. Well, as the crew's walking out, I'm actually in the middle of all of them. So there's 10 of
So
them
you
walking
think it's
out.
a boy
So
walking out there with them.
Right.
Well, yeah, and people can't even see me. So as they start to fold like this, I'm already crawling underneath the ring. No one even sees me. So it was really cool. Like, it was cool to experience that. And then in the beginning, they'd have someone down there with me because they didn't know, like, if I had messed up or if I didn't know what to do. And I'd have a monitor. So I'd be watching the match because then when we really got into with the roses in her hair, I'd have to be like, did Brie lose the rose?
Yeah.
Is it on? And then I'd be tearing it off and, like, tearing the sweatpants off and your gut's going, like, oh, you're just going crazy because Vince was all about
Your
timing.
gut?
Well, not your gut.
You're in your heart.
See,
You know,
I'm
my
getting
gut's
all
going-
messed up right now.
My
Thinking
gut's
about
going
it.
here and there.
Okay, maybe my gut was, okay? You don't know.
It just sounds, I've never.
Anyways, and Vince was all about timing. Like, that's what I cared more than anything, was making sure the twin switch is perfect because Vince loved the twin switches. So he always, like, we'd always have rehearsals to practice the timing. So I remember that was one thing I never wanted to mess up. So I'd be staring at the monitor, like.
It was cool. And then you hear the match going on.
Oh,
and
yeah.
just
It's like, boom. And I'm like.
I remember I got stuck
Sweaty
under the ring one time. And they just told, hey, Bree, stay there till the show's over. And I was like, okay, cool. The main event was the Great Khali and Big Show. And I literally was like, laying under there like, oh my gosh, I think it's going to bust. And I'm under here. Like, I didn't know what to do. And I was just like, oh my God, it was so loud and cold and the dust and everything. And I was like, oh
I know,
my
I felt
gosh.
bad. I was backstage and they're like, is your sister getting ribbed right now? And I'm like, I don't know. I think so.
Maybe it was, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But I was
They
probably
left her
under
out
there
She
for
was
an hour
out
and a
there.
half.
She was out there.
I was under the ring.
forever. And I remember just sitting at the monitor like, oh my God, she's still under it. And I'd be seeing all these people doing these big moves. And I'm like, oh my God, Brianna's still under
Yeah, I think
the
I went
ring.
through like 2 or 3 matches. Like, it was crazy. But it was fun.
Yeah.
Were you guys intimidated about going on TV at all in the beginning?
Oh.
100%.
It's like you have to meditate before you go. It's like a whole preparation. Like, you just like are like, okay, we're going.
You know, because you shake everyone's hand when you get there, and when you're new, it's like, okay, they're talking, but I have to shake their hand.
Right.
Do I interrupt? Do I just stand there?
But then
And
is
it's
that
like
rude?
you're
Is that
thinking,
disrespectful?
you're thinking all these different things just about a handshake.
Yeah.
And that was like the worst part of it. Like
Yeah,
I
it
couldn't.
was.
I'd be like, got all my handshakes done. Like, hey,
Yeah.
now let's start the day. Like,
Yeah. 'Cause
that
you-
was the hardest part.
Right. Well, and you always just wanted to show that you were eager and ready because you were, but you wanted to make sure they all felt it and knew it. So it was just like, you always were just thinking, like, I don't know. It was crazy.
And then you'd go by the ring and you're like, oh, they're gonna call me out at some point to get in there and just do a match. And so when you first started, it was like a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
Were you intimidated by Vince when you first met Vince?
Oh,
Yes.
Well, it's
Vince?
a brilliant man. Like, it's someone, I mean, look what he's created.
Yeah.
So that alone, like, you just know the brain. And,
It's like you almost freeze up. You just smile and you're like,
Yeah.
hi, nice to meet you. Like,
and it's your boss. So it's like, you want to make sure you say the right thing. You want to make sure you're intriguing. There's just so many different
well,
things.
Vince has this aura and this energy about him. Like,
Right.
sometimes when you meet very important people, they just have this thing about him. That's Vince. So that right there kind of takes your breath away. Like, this is a very important person.
Yeah.
Like, so having that, it's just, that makes it so intimidating.
Right. But once you're there for a while and you start working with him in segments and he starts really coaching you and helping you, it's crazy how all of a sudden he feels like almost like Uncle Vince. Like, it's, you can
Yeah.
build a great bond with him. And Nicole and I going to Afghanistan with him. Like,
I was going to ask you about that. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah.
We going to Afghanistan with Vince and Kofi, like, it actually took us a different level with Vince, and like, he was a friend there, and
Yeah.
that was really cool. We had never been on that level
Oh.
with him, and it was awesome, just our conversations, hanging out, and
Yeah, it was just like friends hanging out, and he'd talk about his grandkids, and he'd just have the biggest smile on his face when he talked about his grandkids, and he loved sharing stories with them, and we'd all goof around, like we were laughing so hard.
he's
like,
a prankster. He's hilarious. So
it was so much fun. I was like, oh, I want to hang out with Grandpa Vince all the time.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
You got to work with Victoria right away too, right?
Yes.
Main roster. Again, easy to work with.
Oh my gosh.
So easy. And I have to
She's-
say, like, for someone like Victoria, like, all of a sudden here comes Brie Bella, and her sister's going to do Twin Magic, and Victoria had to put us over. And
Every week.
I
And
know
they
how-
were like, they weren't finishers. They were, small package
Right.
and schoolboys, and so.
and she had the best attitude about it. And
Yeah, she never.
that meant a
complained.
lot, because that's hard. Because, us being there for years, I couldn't imagine being in that position. I mean, I would do it because you do. It's your job, and, but she literally put her pride to the side and just, like, wanted to help Nicole and I. And it really meant a lot. It was amazing. And we wouldn't have been where we were in the beginning of SmackDown if it wasn't for her. Like,
Right.
she just...
We wouldn't have gained the respect from the fans and all that without her.
Yeah.
And then Natty joined, and they're the ones that they both helped debut the twins. So Brie and I were extremely fortunate.
And we were lucky, too, because our agent at the time was Fit Finlay. And Fit works with the divas like no other. Like,
He was amazing.
he put together the greatest matches
We were
for
when
us.
he got fired and was gone for a bit. Of course, it was right when Brie becomes Divas champion.
Yeah, I was like, Fit.
right when we know we're gonna have matches on Raw all the time, and it was like we didn't have Fit anymore, and that was hard because not only did Fit fight for us, but he just really pushed all of us girls to our limits to make for us to showcase ourselves.
Yeah.
And when he left, it was like us divas weren't allowed to showcase anymore because we didn't have Fit there being like sticking up for us.
Right.
And so we're like, of course, when we become the Divas champions, we don't have Fit. And
Oh, wait.
I mean,
Not me.
Well, I was the champ. Assistant. Champ's assistant. I mean, I was champ too. Don't forget that, boo-boo. Okay. And it was you that got pinned on the last match, so technically I'm still Divas champ.
It's work. No.
It
Thank
is?
you.
To work?
I'm just joking.
I'm just kidding.
Finlay, we did an interview with him, and he talked about how he had meetings with all the girls, and he really wanted to, have the girls put emphasis on work and
He did.
take the business serious. You saw that in him?
Oh,
my god. You know, the best
He-
thing about him is he would be like, okay, I want to see this, that. And you'd sit there and be like, I've never done that. So practice. But he was amazing. Like, he brought stuff out in us that we didn't even know we could do. And that was the great thing. But the one thing I loved about Fit is he demanded respect. And that right there is a coach. That's a coach.
Right.
We
He was a
respected him. And we respected his ideas and where he wanted us to be in matches and what we wanted to do.
And he'd always just have us like in the ring rolling around before live events, and then we'd have our matches. And us Divas got to work a lot longer on live events. So then he would really get the opportunity. He'd critique us and he'd be like, okay, tomorrow night we're going to try this different because this didn't really work. And so I was learning so much from him. Like, it was crazy because we were fortunate. We got to work with Fit for a long time.
For a really long time.
And we learned a lot from him.
Yeah. He just knew everyone's strengths, which was awesome because not every agent really sees that, but Fit with the Divas did. He knew everybody's strength, and he put that in the match.
Did you guys ever like sit back at this time before you even got even bigger and go, wow, I made it. Here we are in WWE and we're on TV traveling the world. And
oh my gosh, yes.
Oh, I remember feeling that way the first time when we had the match. We did a twin switch and I was on the ramp and because they wanted me to stare at Victoria and celebrate and I just remember looking at the crowd and my heart was pounding, but I was like, oh my God, this is what it is to be on TV and then to get all the phone calls and all that, and that was when I was like, whoa, we're someone now. And when the twins debuted, we hit #1 Yahoo search 2 days in a row, and we were #2 MSN search, and I remember everyone wanted to know about the Bella twins, and Sports Illustrated wanted to do something, like all these people were coming at us, and I was like, oh my gosh, like the world wants to know who we are.
We were like, whoa, like it was crazy.
Yeah, and then I remember our first TV overseas. It was us, 2 and Eve, and we got to fly to, was it Manchester, right? Manchester, England. And so we were only flying in for TV. Three of us were on the tour. So we had a full Sunday before Raw, and we were like, score! We're running around Manchester, England. It's the first time we've ever been in Europe, so we're like, this is amazing. We're shopping, we're pub crawling. Well, not yours, sorry. But, jeez, Brie. Forgot you went to Spain. Anyways, but we were just like little kids in heaven, like
we were.
And then everyone comes to the tours and everyone's tired, and we're like, "Come on, guys, it's party!" And we were just like, nonstop energy. Yeah, it was awesome.
Memories about your first big program, I guess, with Carlito and Primo.
Yes,
the Colognes. Who would want to work with them? We had so much fun in that storyline because it was the Clones versus Miz and Morrison.
Right.
And well, first off, Carlito and Primo are hilarious. Like, and the fact that they're brothers and like we're sisters, like, just was amazing because we got it all. Like, they would argue, then we would argue. They're laughing and have inside jokes. And it just became. It was just awesome.
We had too much fun. Like, seriously.
And Miz and Morrison,
loving life. Like, it was.
They were amazing.
So much fun. And you know what? They were guys that really liked to include us, which made it all like just so much better. Like, they included us in matches and. So that made it, like, that much better.
Yeah, and being on the live events and just hearing Carlito out there, that was the greatest thing ever. Like, he was hilarious.
And, and then Miz and Morrison, like, you have 2 funny guys. And then they're doing the dirt sheet at that time. And so...
Oh, my gosh.
It was, like, the making fun of, like, back and forth. Like, everything all the pre-tapes we did, and I have to say that we were all fortunate. I think SmackDown at that time was so entertaining. There were so many great storylines going on. And ours, we always had a pre-tape every week, whether it was The Date or us in the hallway with the boys, with Ms. Morrison coming in, like, saying they came from a party, and, like, everything we all did was, like, improv. So, literally, I can't tell you, sometimes we'd have to just do takes because Morrison would be going on and we'd all be dying laughing, and then Miz says something, we're dying laughing, and then Carlito puts his thing in, and then Carlito would be funny because sometimes if you just keep going, then he just says something so, like...
Off the wall.
Yeah.
And or even when we were out there, it was ECW, and Miz and Morrison had the butt faces on, and they're like, hip. And, like, we're standing there, and I remember, because I had to be, like, I was really sad.
I'd be sad, and I was, like,
they won, so I was taken from Primo and Carlito, but she loved it. But I was like, oh, my gosh, this is happening. And just, like, seeing their faces and just seeing Miz and Morrison, their sides of their mouth going, I was just like, I can't look at them. I can't look. Like, it was hilarious. It was really fun.
Yeah, I would do that storyline again. Like, that was my favorite ever.
Me too.
It pretty much progressed where you turned heel, right?
Yeah. So, and I wanted from day one to be a heel. But
oh, we know. It's very natural.
Yes, for me. But, so, when they were, like, letting me a little bit, I was like, this is sick. Now, do I look back at my wardrobe? I hated what I wore and stuff, but that's okay. Whatever.
About what I wore.
Hey, we were in the PG area, and they really scared Brie and I to be PG, so Brie and I went over and beyond PG. I think we were the G girls. But it was good because we got a really good kid fan base, and we love our kid fans. But I loved it because I got to start, like, being me. And I was just in heaven. I remember my first walkout with the boys. I
remember
like,
it
my
too.
Thing, and I was like this, whatever, and we go out, and I was like just feeling great and mean and sassy, and then I come back and Stephanie McMahon's sitting there, and she's like, I don't think this is allowed, and I was like, and everyone's staring at me, and I was like, oh my god,
and we went back home and watched it, and I was
because
so,
then
she was
we're in slow-mo because of Morrison.
feeling it. She was feeling it.
And Miz is making fun of me going, yeah, I was like, dang, and I was just feeling it, because I was like, I'm a bad girl.
I was in the ring like, oh my god.
I got made fun of for a good week for that, so.
What was Steph like?
She's an inspiration to us.
Yeah.
She, not only is she beautiful, but she's classy, and she's strong, and she's smart, and she's like independent. She kind of is like just an all-around amazing woman. You kind of look up to her like, oh, I wish I had.
You definitely do. And we were lucky because, Nicole and I did a lot of stuff outside of the ring with WWE. We did a lot of media and events, and we were able to go to Washington, D.C. with Stephanie. And it was just a great experience, but it was also great to see her in that light and with those people and how she is. And she's a strong woman, and it's great to see that,
Yeah, I like when I see like beautiful women like running the show, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like
and
I'm
even
like,
when
you
they
go
talk,
girl.
yeah.
And she was just, she's so educated and articulate. Like when she would just talk, I was like, damn, that girl's good.
Yeah, she made me want to go get like a vocabulary book.
I was like, so how do you talk like that?
yeah.
What are your memories of the 6-man match? I guess it was with Brie and the Clones versus Nikki and Morrison and Miz.
I think Nikki was shaking her butt, and I drop kicked her out of the ring for it.
Anyways, it was, I honestly, like, because we got to do that on the live events right before that TV. And so, like, Miz and Morrison, the jokes, they just had so many jokes the whole time I was out there. And, like, Miz loved to put me up on the turnbuckle and pat my head and treat me like a dog. And, but to hear their jokes, and then Carlito had a joke, like, I was like, can I do mixed tag matches every week, please? Because it was so much fun to work with them. And
I think at that point, we were going to pay them to be able to just stay in that storyline. It was so fun. It didn't even feel like work.
No, it did not feel like work. It was awesome.
Memories of your angle with John Morrison and The Miz?
Well, I don't know. I guess it was cut too short, I felt like. I think we all could have done some amazing stuff, but it kind of, we got into WrestleMania, and they ended up making their match the dark match, and then we had to be in the Battle Royal. Yeah. So they didn't let us be a part of their match. So like at that time, they're like, oh, we don't want you going out twice. And then it just died from there. And I was like having so much fun, and I was like, I like where this is going. Like they're making me heel. I thought they could have did a lot more with Brie and I being face and heel and having actual tag teams. And the draft came, and they split up Miz and Morrison. And so I thought it kind of ended too soon. I think we all could have done a lot more great things. And I think it actually would have been awesome if like Miz and Morrison and myself was like drafted to Raw, and then at the end of the show all of a sudden the Clones and Brie are drafted to Raw, and everyone's like, what? Like I think we just could have did a lot more stuff. So that, but other than that, it was great.
Now before you guys were drafted to Raw, I think it was 2009, you guys got to work with each other in some singles matches.
Yes.
What are your memories of working together?
It was, the great thing about working your sister is you don't feel bad if you're stiff.
Not
so
at all.
you end up being really stiff.
And I won. Let's not forget that.
You cheated, but
Didn't cheat.
it was actually great because we both, I don't know, we just felt so comfortable that you just kind of had almost no worries going in. It was just like we knew we were going to watch out for each other and just like make things look good. Go as hard as you want.
Yeah, you kind of, you have each other's backs, it's blood. So you know that when you're in the ring, if anything was to go wrong, you have each other's backs. Like, we're there for each other. So it was really comfortable. Like, and I mean, that was literally, they put me in that match, and they're like, work as a heel. I had never worked as a heel before. Never had practice of it, anything. And I was like,
But they knew it was
All
natural,
right.
so they felt very comfortable her being it.
Okay, whatever.
Easy to work with?
No, she is. Very easy to work with.
Thank you. Brie as well. I mean, she just listens to me, because I'm the boss.
God. I'm stuck with this for life. Do you guys feel bad for me?
No.
Did you guys like being drafted to Raw in 2009?
Oh my
Heck
gosh.
yeah.
Was that,
top
in your
show.
opinion, was that the show to go to? I mean,
Oh yes,
okay.
it is. Raw is definitely the show to go to. And
There's just, you know what it is there's nothing like live TV. It goes by so fast, and there's nothing like that adrenaline rush of whatever I do is going to be on TV. So if I mess up or if I mess my lines up, guess what? That's it. The world just saw it. And I loved that feeling. I loved just it being like that.
yeah. And it was, it drew a bigger crowd, even though SmackDown does too. So it was cool. Like, you kind of did feel like you took another step up. But the great thing about SmackDown, especially at the time, is the roster was unbelievable and the storylines were, and you felt like you got a lot of time. So you were kind of like, oh, I'm leaving, like, where I'm getting a lot of time and going into where you don't know. But,
Yeah. Well, and SmackDown was so entertaining at that time, too.
because we had great talent on there. You had Jeff Hardy, you had CM Punk. I mean, you had Matt Hardy. Like, we had great Rey
Edge.
Mysterio, Edge, Kane. I mean, there was great. So it was just like, every segment had a storyline. There was something.
And Vicky was in her prime. I mean,
she
when
was.
Vicky first was that heel, like
With
nothing.
Edge.
Yeah, with Edge. I mean, that was a great storyline.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
How different was the atmosphere backstage from SmackDown to Raw?
Oh, there's-
SmackDown's definitely more relaxed, and I think it's just because it's a tape show. Where when you're
definitely more
somewhere
laid back.
that's live TV, it's just a lot more is going on and it's going fast. So that's just mainly the only difference.
What about the pressure for you guys now that you guys were Raw live?
Oh, there was a lot more pressure, and it's once again you have to prove yourself. So it's like that
Right.
anxiety that's on you.
Well, and if you're in a match and, they come up and they're like, hey, 2 minutes got cut, like, you had to make your times on Raw. There was no excuses to go over, where SmackDown, if you went over, they just edited it and cut it. But Raw, that wasn't the case. And last thing you want to do is take, a minute from the main event. So it was a lot of pressure. I mean, I still can feel, like, how my stomach felt before going out of Gorilla. Like,
Even if you were
It
in the
was
ring
crazy.
and all of a sudden they cut your time and you see your opponent walking down, you're like, well, do they know? They're like, yeah, they know. And you're like, you sure? They're like, yeah. And you're like, oh my gosh, okay. So, but I guess, once you go through that and when you're done, like after the match, there's just this amazing feeling. And that's the thing that you get addicted to, is just that feeling. It's insane.
it is insane, Brie.
Talk about your debut on Raw. I think you worked at Battle Royal with Beth Phoenix.
Yes.
Might have thrown you out, or
Was that... I'm trying to think which one.
I think it was in May of 2009.
Yeah.
May 18th.
I do remember that one, and that was actually
yes,
I remember
I
really
remember.
cool because we were debuting on Raw, but we're debuting with all the divas, and like to be in the ring like with Mickie James and Beth Phoenix and like Melina and some of those girls, it was just like, oh my gosh, we're here,
Yeah.
we made it, we're done. It was just like, it was really cool. You felt like, okay, I'm part of the crew now. I'm like.
Yeah.
I'm the roster, and so I remember that was a really, really cool
Yeah,
night for us. Like
it
I
was a cool
really
night.
enjoyed it.
We were on
Really
a high,
enjoyed
that's
it.
for sure. I'm sure we killed a bottle of wine that night.
Bet we did.
What was Mickie James like outside the ring?
Mickey was a sweetheart. She's your typical country girl, and she's a fun girl to drink
Yeah.
with and tell stories, and she has so much energy.
Yeah,
That
and
was great.
what I liked about Mickie too is she was a locker room leader, and she kind of kept everyone in check.
She did.
And I think when she had left, our locker room kind of missed that. Like, we kind of needed that person that was super sweet but still would keep you in check.
Yeah.
And where, like, everyone wanted to be very respectful, because they're like, Mickie will tell you, hey, blah, blah, blah. And we really missed that when she left, and I really respected her for that. I
Totally.
think, being a part of a soccer team for so long, and I was a captain, like, every sport needs that. Like, you need to have that leader, and that's definitely what she was.
Now, after you guys were on Raw, I think you were only there for maybe 2 months, and then you got drafted to ECW.
Yes.
Was that a mental blow to you guys, or did you
No.
look down upon it, or you said that?
We didn't look down upon it,
Yeah.
but we at first were confused because we didn't know what was going on, because they were still having us go to Raw. So we were kind of like, okay, what's going on? And it wasn't like we got moved to ECW for a storyline. They kind of were like, hey, Donald Trump just became this, and we have to draft people, so you guys are the ones that have to get drafted to this. So it wasn't even, that's what I think what bummed us out is we weren't going to ECW for a storyline.
Even though we did start a good one with Katie Lee.
Right. Well, Brie and I were like, okay, we got to think of something now. But, so that was the only thing. But other than that, I mean, to get to say that we worked on ECW before it was gone is like an honor, you know? Because we could have never been on that show. And so we were fortunate enough to actually be on ECW.
Did you guys get any promises at all when you first debuted on TV? I mean, did they say, this is what we're going to do with you guys? Or did you guys not know? I mean...
You know, it's funny because they definitely see an idea of where they want you to go, but it's just like everything changes every week. And it was kind of like they just let you know, like, just roll with the punches. Like, just go with the flow. Like, this is definitely what we see for you. And let's just see week by week, like, where it's going to go.
I think because Brie and I didn't go into it when we first debuted, like, we are like, oh, there's no way we'll be on TV every week and this and that. So we didn't expect that. And then it ended up happening that way. Brie and I were fortunate enough that when we did debut, I want to say the first 2 months, we were on TV every week.
Yeah,
so we were like on cloud nine, like, this is awesome.
When you guys were in ECW, did you get to work a little bit with Paul?
You know, Paul, actually, he was contracted, but Paul wasn't at TVs when we were there.
Yeah. Okay. So you never really got to work with him?
No.
Okay.
We wish.
Katie Lee Burch, back in ECW, you got to work with her again?
Yes.
Yes, Katie Lee, it was fun because we actually... Instead of we always had the matches at FCW, so it was kind of cool now being on ECW, and they let us have matches pretty much every week.
Yeah,
it was cool because we come up with some cool stuff and we got time, and I remember it was a lot of fun. We came up with a lot of good stuff.
Well, she was a great person to work with, so it was like a walk in the park.
Yeah.
It was so nice.
And we had some pretty good, entertaining twin switches.
We
with
did.
her. Yeah.
We really did.
They were really funny.
Who came up with the switches idea? Was it you guys, or was it creative, the writers, or?
How did Twin Magic start?
I think it was Vince.
It was Vince.
Yeah, Vince came up with that.
Yeah, Vince came up with that, and then we started to come up with the ones where we actually did it behind the ref's back.
Right. Now, did they make you watch
That was
tapes?
Fit, right?
Well, no, actually, they didn't make us watch tapes, but Nicole and I did, and we actually started watching a lot in FCW, because we did. We wanted to see like.
Who did you study?
We loved the Jumping Bomb Angels.
Yeah, Killer Bees.
I was going to ask you. Okay.
Yeah, the Killer Bees was definitely the one that we really wanted to learn some of their stuff.
We would try to do some of like the turning and the switches they would do, and it was kind of harder. I remember on one we tried to do it. I think it was ECW one time.
Or Superstars.
But theirs, it was just, in the end, what we realized, to protect our refs, we had to do it where they were just drawn away. You know, they got away with a lot more back then.
Yeah.
But, gosh, shoot, I mean, a lot of the girls, old school girls, we'd watch. But you know what's funny is we'd watch a lot of the foreign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All Japan women?
Yeah, a lot of Japan women.
We did.
They just had really... we kind of we liked their holds, and like they were like girly. We're like, oh, we could kind of put it in a way, you know, we kind of stretch, like, because that was Brie and I's thing always with whatever we'd want to come up with is how does it look girly.
Yeah, that's why we loved Melina. Like, Melina's one of our favorite women wrestlers because not only is she great in the ring, but she brings that sex appeal and sexiness to these great moves. And so we think, I mean, she's hands down probably one of my favorite women wrestlers to watch.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Any other good memories from ECW? Because you really weren't there that long. You went back to Raw.
Yeah,
real quick.
I think, honestly, I know we were back full-time at Raw, I think I want to say 2 months, but like we, I think, did some stuff 2 weeks later on Raw. Like,
well,
I remember
that's when, I think 2 weeks later is when we started our celebrity guest host
right
assistants.
when we did the Bob Barker is when we are officially done with ECW and permanently the new celebrity guest host.
That's right.
Which we came up with. John Laurinaitis helped us come up with that idea. And we knew when they were starting that, we saw, you know, for a while people wanted to give us crap on the internet and all that, saying like, oh, they're not even wrestlers, they're this. Well, guess what? You saw us on TV every week. And that was a time when girls were struggling to get the wrestling storylines over. And Brie and I saw an angle and we went with it. And
well, and I think it was too, the hard thing is that it was getting to a point where it was like, what else do we do with the twins wrestling?
yeah.
And because we wanted to stay in storylines, but I think that's what they kept thinking, like, oh, have we done it already with the twins? So we knew we had to kind of move ourselves and get a little out of the wrestling storyline, put ourselves in something else so then we can come back fresh again into wrestling storylines. Because we didn't want them to wear us out or think like, okay, there's nothing more we can do with them, get rid of them.
Yeah.
So that's why when we definitely saw, okay, for a year straight, you're going to have celebrities come once a week. Why don't we
did
be
it
their
over a
assistants?
year.
Yeah, we ended up doing it over a year.
Almost a year and a half, I think, is what.
And we walked them out great.
Yes, we did. We had damn good pre-tape.
We actually did. And you know what? What a lot of people don't know is that we greeted every celebrity when they came, and we'd give them a whole tour of our backstage.
Yeah.
We'd take them out to the ring. We'd introduce them to a lot of the talent. So we did more than just what you saw on TV. We were, like, with them all day.
It was a shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it really was.
100% a shoot. And
Definitely.
it was funny because towards the ending of it, everyone knew Bellas will be there when I arrive, right? Like, it went through, like, all the celebrities. Like, everyone knew, like,
oh,
Bella
you're gonna have
Twins will
the
be
Bella
standing
Twins
there
meeting.
as you pull up in your SUV.
And there we'd be.
Greet you right when you come out, and it was funny. It was so much
Who
fun.
was the coolest guy to work with, celebrity-wise?
Oh, probably Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg were the
Oh, yeah.
coolest.
Those, we literally improv'd our scenes, and I wanted to
Will
cry,
was like,
laugh.
you know, we're just gonna do this, and that. So just go with it. You guys are good. And we're like, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It was fun, and I have
He
to
was
say,
amazing.
Bob Barker. I think because he has such experience of being on live TV that he was amazing to work with, and I don't know if anyone remembers him in Jericho, but like Bob Barker was just spitting out lines like that was not scripted, and I was like, he
was
rocks,
great.
and he was so sweet. He's just such a sweet
And we
man.
gotta say, we were Barker beauties. I mean, we sold that jacuzzi. And what people don't realize is we didn't have music. So when we did the Hawaiian scene, or the car scene, or even the jacuzzi scene, it is dead silent.
Not only is it dead silent, we probably had 20 workers just staring at us.
And
So
you had to go
splash
for-
around jacuzzi, and I'm like, oh my
I
god.
think there was 2 minutes straight, just so they made sure they got enough footage. So could you imagine for 2 minutes straight, dead
Kicking
quiet,
and-
and just splashing and like showing off the jacuzzi? I was like, this is a lot harder. Than
And
we-
then, like, you know, the Hawaiian, they wanted Brie and I to be, like, exactly, like, on cue.
Oh, my gosh.
But there's no music, so she and I are just trying to do counts in her head, and we're like... And,
and all
we
you
kind
can
of
hear is
peek
our skirts
over.
going, shh, shh, shh,
Yeah.
shh.
And there's also then the 20 workers just staring at us,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, God. But I think, who else would you say was cool to work with? God, there was
I
a
don't know.
lot.
I mean, Snoop Dogg and Rob Zombie to the Osbournes. I mean, there was so many.
No one came with bad attitudes, which was good. So now some of them would bring
The Hot Tub Time Machine
girlfriends,
guys were
boyfriends, or
hilarious.
spouses that had attitudes. But other
Wasn't
than
actually
that,
funny, right? Like it was an asshole or anything.
No,
I mean-
I think they were too afraid to like be mean to us two, especially with all the guys backstage. Like
Yeah.
that's the last thing you want to do. But
yeah.
what was cool is to see a lot of the actors come and see how nervous they would be. Like
Oh my gosh, it
they
was
would
crazy.
be so nervous, and to the point like we'd memorize a lot of their lines just in case, because a lot of them, they're not used to live TV, and they're not used to our amazing fans who have so much energy. Like they just, no one ever knew if they're gonna get booed or cheered.
We
walking
like
through
had to
that
be like,
curtain.
okay, look, you're probably gonna get booed. Just don't let it get in your mind.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
Like the guy from The Hangover.
Oh, yes. Well, and too, it was like, I remember, who was it who thought he was gonna get cheered and got booed?
Hot Tub Time Machine.
What was it, maybe those guys?
Yeah, and you could tell they kind of were like,
Okay, you guys hate us.
And then I loved, was it the race car guys? And Joey
Oh,
Logana
yeah.
is like
Joey Logana
Coffee
and
Kingston, and the crowd's
Kurt
like,
Busch.
boo, and he's like, what? But Kyle Busch, he ate it up. He
he
freaking
loved
loved
it.
it. He's a natural heel, but
Memories of working with Jillian Hall.
Oh, Jillian.
oh, I love Jillian.
She's one of our girls. She's so funny.
See, now people need to go back and go to Superstars, and you need to watch all our matches with Jillian, because those are probably actually the best twin switches I think we've ever done. We actually had a joke with Jillian, Brie, and I were like, we are the girls of Superstars. Like, we
did.
have
We
a
owned it.
legit storyline on Superstars.
And in the beginning, we weren't even in the entrance video, and we were like, how are the
Hey.
stars of Superstars not in the entrance video?
Yeah. But we had so much fun. Like, she was another one who was just really experienced in the ring, and
Yeah.
so
So we were
she
so
was
lucky.
so easy to work with, and she
An amazing
actually,
bass. Like,
yeah, and she has really good ideas, but she cracked me up in the ring.
Ugh.
Like, her character, I think WWE misses out on her character for the women
hilarious.
because she just brought something else, and she was actually perfect with the celebrity guest hosts every week too. How she was with
it
her
was like
singing.
us two, Jillian and Santino, were perfect with the celebrity guest hosts.
Yeah.
It was always like us four, like all like, ugh.
Like, yeah, we always had like the pre-tapes and all that, but I'll just never forget the twin switch her Maurice attempted
Jillian
on Superstars. Like, Jillian throws Maurice out of the ring and she's laying there like how we do it.
But Maurice saw it like, you just pushed me out for what reason? And then the ref's like, Jillian, you're not Maurice. And she's like, huh? But
yeah, it was
just
awesome.
amazing.
Gail Kim? Memories of working with Gail.
Oh,
Loved Gail. And,
Yeah.
you know, the great thing about working with Gail is that, I mean, once again, another extremely talented wrestler that Nikki and I were very lucky to work with.
Yes.
But we had an awesome storyline, and us three were so sad to not see it go further. Like,
yeah. Well, we have to thank Gail a lot too, because she really let Brie and I just beat her up, and she's what helped us get over as heels and
She
believable
did.
as heels. And it was funny because those girl fights were pretty legit. Gail,
we're
Brie, and
like-
I had understanding, like, you know what? They want this stuff. We're going full out. And I remember people would always be like, shit, girls.
Yeah.
Jeez. Like, it get pretty bad.
Yeah.
Like, we
But
loved it.
Gail was definitely the girl, too. Like, even if I had a match with someone else, I'd go ask Gail, like, Gail, do you have, like, can you help me out?
Yeah.
Or, like, I need an idea
She
for this.
needs to be a
just,
coach.
Yeah, she's just amazing that way. Like, she's so sweet, and she was so great to have. And we loved working with her. We were just sad because us three wanted it to go into, like, a good storyline, like, get rid of Daniel Bryan, now let it be us girls.
Like a wrestling
And start a
storyline.
wrestling storyline, and we were sad that it didn't continue on like that, because we really started having a lot of fun.